Hi, Sister Krystal. I thought she was here already. Hello.
Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme.
Hi, Sister Krystal.
Hi, Theo. How are you this week?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Hi, boys and girls. Welcome back. How are you this week?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Hello.
Were you singing Beauty and the Beast?
I was singing Beauty and the Beast.
Love that song.
Me too. Our story today, since we're learning about princesses and people in the Bible who have the same characteristics as some of our princesses that we love to read about.
Yeah.
Our princess this week is going to be from Beauty and the Beast.
I love Beauty and the Beast. That's another Disney movie.
Yeah. And her name's Belle, and she's going to go along with our Bible character today, Esther.
Oh, okay.
So, Theo, did you want to help us out? Do you know the story of Beauty and the Beast?
Of course I know this story.
Would you be able to tell everyone?
Yes, I would love to. Is that okay, kids? I think I heard them say yes.
Me too.
I have big ears. Okay, you want me to tell it now?
Yes, please.
All right, let me grab a few things and sit back and relax.
All right, awesome.
Once upon a time, long time ago in Disney World, there was a prince. And he was a mean prince. And he didn't like anybody. And he was mean to everybody. And he had like this big party one day. And he invited a bunch of people. And then this old lady came. And he was mean to her. But she was secretly a witch. And she turned him into a beast. Magic. And then he was all like, I'm a beast, everyone leave. And she cursed him. So he was this real big, hairy, ugly beast. And he was cursed. And he wouldn't change back into a prince unless someone loved him. So he's all moody in his castle. He lived in a castle, by the way, because he was a prince. And one day, this girl's father stumbled out of the castle and he kidnapped him. And then, long story short, the daughter goes to look for him and she rescues him. And her name was Belle. Okay, Theo, you can do this. You can do this. Hi, I'm Belle. And I want the beast you to release my father. And if you release my father, I will stay with you. And the beast was like, okay, so he releases the father, then he locks Belle in a tower. So he locks Belle in the tower, and then all the beast servants who had been turned into stuff, there was the candlestick guy, and then he had Big Ben around, and then there was Mrs. Potts, who was a teapot, and then I think she had a husband, because I think that she had a kid, Chip. He was a little teacup. And they all wanted Belle to fall in love with the beast because they thought she would break the spell and she could help them. So they dress her up and they have her have dinner with the beast and they dance. Tale as old as time. Tale as old as time. I don't have a watch. I don't have the time. Beauty and the Beast licensing. What was that? We don't have the rights. Oh, okay. Okay, so the dad gets back to the town and he tells everyone there that his daughter's trapped by this humongous beast. And there's this guy, Gaston, and he's a hunter. I was thinking something different. Oh, this is sweet. Okay, so he's a hunter, and he wants to kill the beast and get Belle back because he likes Belle, he likes her and stuff. So not really sure on the timeline of how all this happens. I think Belle was there for like 3 days, which is like enough to fall in love with someone, but totally enough time for all the townspeople to get to the castle during the same song. And then they knock on the door, and then they fight the beast, and they're gonna kill him. Yeah, kill the beast! Shoot him in the face! Dude, that was harsh. Easy. And then they they fight the beast, they shoot him, but the beast defeats Gaston, he throws him off the top of the castle. Ah! And then Belle sees the beast is dying. She's like, "Oh, beast! Oh no, I love you!" And it was right before the spell was gonna end, and she saved him, and she saved all the people in the castle, and then they all live happily ever after. The end.
Wow, Theo, thank you so much for telling us all about the story of Beauty and the Beast.
You're welcome.
Love that story, and I know a lot of our friends out there love it too.
Uh-huh.
In our story today, we're going to learn about Esther.
Okay.
And she's in a palace with a bad guy. And we're going to learn how she is able to save her people, just like Belle in the story, since she was at the palace with the beast. She was able to save all of the servants' lives and make them turn back into humans. Esther is going to be able to save a large group of people, her people, the Israelites.
Oh, okay.
Now, in our story today, there's a really bad guy, and his name's Haman. Every time you hear his name, when I say Haman, I want you to boo. Boo!
Boo!
All right, can you help me with that, Theo?
Yes, boo!
Awesome. So what are you going to say, boo? When
Boo!
I say Esther? When I say grapefruit? When I say Haman?
Boo! This is like Simon Says. All right, go ahead.
Perfect. So Esther was living in a land away from Israel. And they were captives. They were slaves. And the king at that time, his name was King Xerxes. And King Xerxes was looking for a new queen. And so he sent out a message that all the beautiful women in the land, whether they were Israelites or not, were going to come in, and he was going to pick who he thought was the prettiest girl, and he was going to marry her.
Okay.
So Esther was pretty beautiful, and her cousin Mordecai kind of talked her into going. So she went to the palace, and when she got to the palace, they dressed her up in some nice clothes. They put makeup on her. They gave her pretty jewelry, and they made her look so fancy for King Xerxes.
Whoa.
And they did this for all the women that came to the palace.
Uh-huh.
And so all the women, they had time to get ready, and then each one of them had a chance to go before the king. And when the king saw Esther, guess what?
What?
Theo?
What?
He fell in love with her.
Aww.
And he said, "Oh, Esther, you're the most beautiful girl in the land. I want to marry you." So Xerxes married Esther.
Nice.
Well, while they were there, Esther's cousin Mordecai, he lived in the city, and he didn't like Xerxes and the Medes and the Persians.
No?
They're the bad guys.
Okay.
And there was a man, a guard, someone who worked for Xerxes, King Xerxes. His name was Haman.
Oh, no! Boo!
And he
Boo!
was a bad guy. And
Yep.
every time he would come out of the city, he expected everyone to bow down to him.
Oh.
Now, the Jews, they only bow down to God.
Yeah.
And we should only bow down to God as well. And so whenever Haman would go through the city, Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. And Haman would get mad, and he would be angry about this. So one day he went to King Xerxes and he said, "King Xerxes,
Yes.
you're awesome, man. And I think that everyone should worship you, and they should only love you." And Xerxes was like, "Yeah, I am pretty awesome, and I think people should only worship me." And so Haman tricked King Xerxes into signing a decree that the Jews, since they weren't bowing down to him, there would be a day where Haman and the other Medes and Persians could go in and kill all of the Jews.
What? That's crazy.
That is crazy. And King Xerxes, he was feeling pretty good about himself because Haman had been making him think he was so awesome. And so he signed this. And this is a decree that when he signs it, he can't even stop it from happening.
Okay.
So Mordecai finds out about this decree, and he tells Esther.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to her and he says, "Look, God has chosen you. God has placed you where you need to be to save his people. You need to go up and tell the king." And Esther's like, but I can't go and tell the king, Mordecai, because if I go to him and he hasn't asked me to come, he could kill me.
Yeah.
I might die. He might take my life. I don't know if I can do this. And Mordecai said, why do you think God's placed you in the palace? God has chosen you. He's put you there for such a time as this so you could save his people, the Israelites. So Esther says, okay, give me a couple days. She goes home. She thinks about it. And she tells all the Israelites to pray and to fast. That means not to eat for 3 days. So she prays and she doesn't eat. Do you think, Theo, that you could not eat for 3 days?
No, I'm hungry right now.
I know, me too. I don't know if I could go 3 days without eating.
Yeah.
Well, the Israelites did that and they prayed. And at the end of those 3 days, Esther realized that this was God's plan and she was going to obey him. Okay. He had chosen her and she was going to follow where he was leading in her life. So she got dressed. She made herself look beautiful. She was so scared, though. She was like shaking. And she went to go see King Xerxes.
What happened?
And she walked up in there. Now, the thing is, he had a scepter. And if he held out that scepter to Esther, then everything was okay. He was happy to see her. He loved her. He wanted her to come talk to him. But if he didn't, she'd be dead. Exactly.
Okay. What'd he do?
So Esther went before the king. She was so scared. She was so scared, Theo. She walked up. She walked in. And he looked at her. And he held out his scepter.
Oh, my goodness. That was suspenseful.
He loved Esther so much. And so Esther came in. He said, so Esther, you're coming before me. What do you want? And she said, you know what, King? I just want to throw you a dinner. Ooh. And I'll tell you after why I'm really here. But how about you come to dinner? And could you bring Haman with you?
Boo!
I know. Why would she bring Haman?
Boo!
He wants to kill her.
Yeah.
So anyways, the king's like, sure, this will be awesome. So she makes this nice fancy dinner. And King Xerxes and Haman, they both come to the dinner and they sit down and they eat. It's a lovely dinner. And then King Xerxes says, Esther,
yes.
So what is it that you want? I'll give you anything you want. You can have the whole, like half the kingdom if you want.
Carrots.
And Esther says, you know what? How about you and Haman?
Yeah. Boo.
Come back another time, and I'll have another dinner. And after that one, I promise I'll tell you why I really wanted you here.
Whoa.
So King Xerxes says, that's great. So King Xerxes and Haman come back a second time. And she has another beautiful feast all out for them. And they eat dinner, and they're having such a great time together. And King Xerxes says to Esther, so Esther, what is it you want? I will give you whatever you want. I will give you like half my kingdom if that's what you asked for. Just tell me what it is.
What does she want?
And so Esther looks at the king. He looks at King Xerxes. And she says, there is someone who is trying to kill me. And King Xerxes is like, whoa. Who's going to try to kill my beautiful wife?
Who is it?
And she goes, it's that man, Haman.
Boo!
And King Xerxes gets so angry and he walks out of the room. He needs a minute. That's actually a smart thing to do when you're angry. Take a step back. So he leaves. And Haman gets angry at Esther and can't believe that she's going to tell the king on him. And the king comes back in and he sees that Haman is like maybe about to hurt Esther. He's angry with her. And so he gets mad at Haman. He throws Haman out and he tells the guards that what Haman wanted to happen to the Israelites is going to happen to Haman. And Haman ends up dying.
Yay!
Right. And so the king tells Esther, though, he says, I can't stop anything from happening to your people. I already signed the decree. But what I can do is on that particular day, when the decree is supposed to go into effect, when this is supposed to happen, I can give swords and bats and different weapons to all of the people. Cool. And I can also tell the Medes and the Persians that if they go up against them, that I will be fighting for Israel.
Wow.
And so no one really wanted to fight against Israel because they were afraid of the king.
Yeah, okay.
So Esther was able to save her people's lives. She was able to do what God had chosen her for because she obeyed and she was willing. She was willing to do that. So thank you for helping with my story.
Of course,
today, Theo.
Sister Krystal. Yay!
And just like in the beginning of our story, when Theo realized I was singing the Beauty and the Beast song because we were going to have our lesson about Belle today, there's also a song that goes with our Bible verse today. Today, our Bible verse is found in Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and a future. And there's a beautiful song written by Curtis Park. It's called the Esther Song, so look it up sometime. But it tells the story in the verses about Esther, how Esther was from a land far away and how she was used of God. But the chorus has our verse, Jeremiah 29:11. And maybe if you listen to the song, it'll help you remember our verse of the week. And it goes, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and a future. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and future." So I hope you listen to that verse today too, that if you obey God, his plan is the best thing for you. And he only wants what's good for you. It's when we don't obey his plan and we do our own thing that things kind of get messed up and we might get hurt. But God has you exactly where he wants you. And if you obey him, you too are going to be in the perfect place for such a time as this. So I hope you'll have a fabulous week. I'll see you later. Thank you for joining us.